So you want to play the best exclusive available on your new PlayStation 5, and within 35 minutes, you're getting your teeth kicked in by this trap, these clowns, and most certainly this fella. Yep, Demon Souls might seem tough at first, but with a little bit of help, anyone can conquer this game. So to help expedite the learning process, let me give you a few valuable pieces of information so you too can escape the Nexus. So first thing you're going to see after the opening cutscene is your create a character screen. Now for most RPGs, choosing your class before you've even started can feel really daunting. That's when I want to let you know that your starting class in Demon Souls really only matters in the short term. The starting class doesn't wall you off from any items, weapons, or armor, unlike more traditional classic RPGs. Personally, I would recommend the Knight class. Its starting stats prioritize some extra health and defense. They also start with a heavy but high in defense armor set, as well as the Kite Shield, which blocks 100% of all physical damage. For first-time Souls players, I also generally recommend sticking to using melee weapons on your first playthrough. Is what I would have said if this was Dark Souls, but in Demon Souls, magic is super busted. If you want to have a really clean time throughout the whole game, pick the Royalty class. Not only do you start with Soul Arrow, which nearly one-shots every enemy from a distance, costing practically no MP, you also start with the boosted MP pool due to the starting catalyst, as well as a ring that will auto-regenerate MP for you. It's not a perfect build for everyone, as the build can struggle in close-range combat, and has basically no health, meaning death is always a couple hits away, but it's still a really great pick if you want to play from a distance. After choosing your class, it will also ask you to select your starting gift. See all this right here? Garbage. Pick the Providential Ring. Unlike all the other gifts, which are only one-time use consumables, the Providential Ring is an equipable ring that increases item discovery and enemy drops. This means that for the first section of the game, you'll be getting more and more health drops from enemies, which is an incredibly valuable resource. You also won't be able to get this ring otherwise unless you bought the deluxe edition, so it's best to grab it here. Alright, you see this thing in the top left corner? That's your stamina meter. Aside from walking and using items, almost every action in Demon Souls requires the use of stamina. I would wager that around 70% of deaths from novice Souls players are due to poor stamina management. If you understand how to effectively use stamina, it'll make every encounter easier for you. Before we hop into Boletaria though, let's take a second to see how many swings we can do with the full stamina bar. Once the stamina bar is completely depleted, there will be about a second in which no action outside of moving can be performed. You don't want to run out of stamina when face to face with an enemy or boss, otherwise they'll be able to score some easy hits and kill you. Each weapon has a variety of offensive moves. Pressing R1 performs quicker, standard attacks, whereas R2 is for your slower, heavier hitting swings. You also have sequential attacks that can combo enemies, which you can perform while rolling and dashing. With the proper shield or weapon in your offhand, you can also parry certain enemy attacks, opening them up for critical hits that inflict massive damage. You can also perform a critical hit by backstabbing an enemy, which is a really useful method when dealing with the tougher enemies like the red and blue-eyed knights in stage 1-1. However, some would say that the best offense is a good defense, and that holds true in Demon Souls. In this game, you have two primary modes of defending yourself from enemy attacks, blocking and dodging, each with their own benefits and drawbacks. Blocking attacks, especially with a 100% physical damage reduction shield like the Kite Shield or Knight Shield, is a super safe option. A good combat strategy is to have your shield up, wait for an enemy to swing their weapon, and as they're reeling back from getting blocked, you're free to attack without getting blocked or hit again yourself. However, there are a few important things to keep in mind while blocking. For one, while you're holding up a shield, your stamina meter will generate much more slowly. That's why it's good practice to only hold up your shield to block and attack once you see the wind-up animation. It's also important to note that blocking an attack also costs stamina, and when you lose all your stamina, your character's posture breaks, making them vulnerable for a very long period of time. Plus, there are just some attacks that can't be blocked, or just outright eat your entire stamina bar. These mostly come in the form of overhead attacks that go above your shield, so that's where your other main defensive option comes in, rolling. The roll is the more versatile, albeit more risky option compared to blocking. The benefits of rolling are plentiful. Successful dodges can put you in a situation where counterattacking is easier at the cost of less stamina overall, and for some attacks, it's the only way to not take any damage. However, if you mess up your roll, you're going to be taking the full brunt of an enemy or boss attack. Here's 2 pieces of advice to roll like the best of them. First, try to avoid roll spamming. It's easy in sticky situations to panic roll away from enemies, but sometimes that can put you in a situation where you end up rolling into worse trouble. Try to learn the timing for each enemy's attack so you know when to cleanly roll through their hitboxes. And the other tip is to utilize the iframes or invincibility frames the roll gives you and actually dodge into most enemy attacks. That way you are up close and personal and can get some good hits in. The usefulness of your roll will be determined by your equipment load. An equipment load over 50% will have this slow, fat roll. You can still dodge attacks with it, however, your recovery frames are going to be much longer and you won't be able to successfully perform follow-up attacks as often. That's why I recommend trying to get your equipment load below 50% so you get nice, clean rolls. Range combat in Demon's Souls is a bit of a different beast. Unlike some of the later Souls games, it costs no stamina to cast magic and miracles in Demon's Souls, meaning that as long as you have the MP, you can keep shooting spells. It's important to note though that for mostly every spell, it must be cast standing still, and once you perform the start of your attack, you'll be unable to roll, move, or perform other actions until that attack finishes or you get hit, so make sure to be careful. Now there's a lot more to this game than just combat. There's a big, beautiful, horrifying world to explore. And the first thing you're going to want to do in any of the 5 areas is just that. Explore, explore, explore. Check rooms for multiple doors and entryways and try to get into every nook and cranny of Boletaria. Not only will you be rewarded with great items, it will help you better navigate the map. New respawn points only appear after defeating a level boss, however, a good chunk of levels have shortcuts that you can unlock for yourself by being a diligent explorer. Another thing you're going to want to keep in mind throughout your playthrough is to experiment. While some weapons are most certainly better than others, skill trumps all in Demon's Souls. So when you get a new weapon, try equipping it to see if it suits your playstyle. Also, try to check your item screen every once in a while for new pickups that you didn't notice. You might have been so focused on playing that you didn't see you picked up a useful ring or important key. Experimenting is also going to be the best way to conquer the tougher boss fights. If you feel like you're throwing your head against the wall at a boss, try using a weapon with a different attack type, outfitting new rings and armor, or going back to different areas and upgrading your equipment. You'd be surprised at how quickly you'll invalidate bosses just by making small tweaks to your game plan. Once you defeat the first real boss of the game, Phalanx, the other 4 archstones in the Nexus open up for you to explore. If you're truly feeling stuck, take a step back and explore the other archstones. You'll find new items and weapon upgrades that'll help you take on a challenge you were previously struggling with. Okay, that's all the major mechanical gameplay stuff out of the way, so here's some quick beginner tips to help you get started on your journey. After you enter this bridge in 1-1, ignore the fog gate and continue down the stairwell. On your way, you'll pick up the Cling Ring and unlock a shortcut. The Cling Ring is invaluable. By equipping it, your soul form retains 75% of its total HP as opposed to 50, letting you take way more hits. Within the Nexus, make a habit of visiting Stockpile Thomas, as this is the only Souls game to have an item encumbrance load you need to manage. Drop off any not in use weapons, armor, and items you pick up so you have space for new drops. Right after you open the gate to Phalanx, you can pick up 4 pine resins in this alcove. Resin imbues your weapons with certain buffs, with pine resin being for fire. Using one of these on your weapon of choice completely invalidates the Phalanx boss fight, rendering him utterly flaccid. And after defeating Phalanx, you'll now have the ability to level up your stats. Let me make it easier for you and just cross off all the stats you shouldn't worry about. If you aren't sure what to put points into, Vitality is always a good pick, since that will raise your total health. Stats for Strength, Dex, Magic, and Faith determine your ability to wield certain weapons effectively and can provide increased attack damage depending on the weapon's scaling. However, if you really want to see a major increase in your attack power, the best way is by upgrading your weapons at the blacksmith. Each weapon requires their own type of stone in order to upgrade. If you pick the Knight build, you'll quickly notice that while fully armored, you will be fat rolling. That's why I recommend picking up the Ring of Great Strength near the dragons in 1-1 to increase your equipment load, as well as unequipping your helmet to get under the 50% threshold. If you decided to go with a magic build, make sure to speak with Freak's Apprentice on the right side of the Nexus. He'll not only sell you new spells, he'll also let you attune spells, allowing you to mix and match the spells you have available to you when in the field. All healing items are consumable, but can be easily farmed off of enemies. One of my personal early favorite grass farming locations is right after defeating the Tower Knight in 1-2. Going south of his warp point allows you to fight 2 blue-eyed armor knights that are guaranteed to drop either 2 half moon grasses or 2 late moon grasses when defeated. I highly recommend taking a few minutes to get yourself to plus 40 half moon grasses here, so you're fully ready to take on any new archstone. This also doubles as a decent early game grinding spot for souls, giving you about 900 souls per run through. As for weapon upgrade farming, you can get a ton of upgrades from the enemies in 2-1. There are 6 hoplite enemies before the dragon bridge in 1-2 that tend to drop hardstones and sharpstones of all types quite frequently, especially with the providential ring equipped. And that's all the tips I have in today's video. It's Demon Souls after all. I do have to tell you to get good eventually, but hopefully with this beginner's guide, it'll make that journey through Boletaria much smoother. Honestly, there's so many more things I could have gone over, so if you have a tip for new Demon Souls players, please drop it in the comments. And if you found any of the tips in this video useful in your own first playthrough, please leave this video a like and make sure to subscribe to Turnstyle for more reviews, discussions, and other equally based content. Take care.